Hey everyone, it's been a while. This is the Lian Li 011 Evo Dynamic RGB. I may have not said in the right order, but you get the idea. You guys saw the B-roll, so let's quickly go into the case and the build itself. As all of you may know, Dynamic is not a new case. In fact, this is an 011 case, as in the name. The 011 series goes all the way back to 2014, maybe a little earlier than that. I don't remember. But the first 011s were still steel. I've been a Lian Li fan since like 2008, so I've had a lot of their cases since. I've had most of the dynamics, small, medium, large, all that. All right, so this case is a little bit different than the 011 Evo that came before it. It has a bit of a change on the back in terms of cable management, and in my opinion, I believe they also made some changes to the radiator bracket on the side. I kind of don't remember the 011 Evo because I haven't touched it in like a year plus. But aside from that, let's just take the case as what it is, as a new case. I know that a lot of folks have very strong opinions about dynamics because you see them all the time. But this case comes in at under $200. I think it's about $170, and it's really, really hard to beat. I'm gonna tell you guys why. If you're looking to do an air-cooled case, this is also an amazing case. It doesn't come with any fans because, let's be honest, most people buy their own fans. If you're buying an almost $200 case, you probably buy your own fans. All right, so we'll also get into the new TN fans that this build has in a moment. The case, as you can probably tell, is in its inverted layout. This became supported with the launch of the 011 Evo. On the Evo RGB, all you're doing to create that inverted layout is you are swapping the top for the bottom. It is extremely easy. It takes less than 5 minutes. I have it in the inverted layout, which is why you'll see my motherboard is quote-unquote upside down. For the purpose of this video, while I talk about radiator support, I'm going to refer to this as the bottom and this as the top, because that is the traditional orientation, okay? Because you're just swapping the lids around, so the radiator positions are still the same. That makes sense? Okay, so the case by default supports a 360 on the bottom and up to a 420 on the top. It comes with these but it comes with these adapter brackets to allow you to mount a 420mm radiator. If you guys want to see a real in-depth review, look at GGF Events review. I'll put in the description. He goes crazy. He spends a lot of time doing these reviews, guys, and you should really in-depth about radiator clearance and all that. What I found is you do not need the adapter bracket to run a 420 on the bottom. On the top. You will if you run like an EK radiator, because they tend to be longer than most of the Hardware Labs versions. For those of you who don't know, Hardware Labs is an OEM for radiators. So all the Corsair radiators, most of the BizPower radiators are all from Hardware Labs, okay? So those radiators tend to be shorter end tanks and at the same time, not as wide as the EK radiators. EK radiators are some of the widest radiators out there. In fact, the new Surface series is wider than the original EK radiators, okay? And they're also longer, like the old PE, XE, SC, all that. Okay? So if you use a Hardware Labs radiator, you can fit up to a 420 at the bottom without any adapter bracket. You can also fit a 420 on the top. Not top, but on the bottom. If you take a Dremel and you Dremel out the bracket, PCI bracket on the rear here, you can fit a 420. I didn't do that because I didn't want to Dremel the case because it's going to long-term storage. But yeah, so on the side, you have up to 360 support or 280. You obviously cannot do a 420 because you can see that I don't know if I can move the camera here, you guys can tell. I have 3 140s in there, fans, and it's already taking up the entire space. Speaking of which, if you plan to do the 140mm fans on the side like I did, install the 3 140mm fans first, because you have to put it in through the front or from the side and then connect in the very last one for connected daisy chain fans. If you're installing in one fan at a time, it's not a big deal. But for Lian Li fans that are just one big brick, when you assemble them, you have to kind of do that part first. So do the fans on the side first if you're doing that. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Speaking of the fans, I'm just going to quickly go over fans then. These are the Lian Li TN fans. Some of them have screens, some of them do not. They also come in reverse blade and regular. Quick disclaimer, Lian Li did send me this case and the fans, okay? But I did purchase these reverse LCD fans myself. Reason being is they didn't have as many of the LCD samples available. So, I bought my own. The top fans are not LCD versions, simply because I can't see them. So there's no point having them. As you can probably see, let me just up the camera here. One-man camera guy. So you can see that I have CPU and GPU temperature stats on the side. And on the bottom, I don't know how well this is going to come across, guys. On the bottom, I have GPU usage, CPU usage, and my logo. Because there's only 5 sensors that the L-Connect 3 software understands currently. So it can only show you stats from 5 different type of sensor sources, and this is all 5. I hope they do improve that with L-Connect 3 in the future. L-Connect 3 is the software that you have to use these fans. In fact, if you're buying Lian Li fans and you don't want to use L-Connect, buy some other fans. It's that simple. Quick thing about the fans. With L-Connect 3, if you're having issues with the fans not displaying or somehow just not working, make sure your .NET framework installation is installed properly. For sometimes it does get corrupt and you have to reinstall .NET framework because the software is dependent on .NET framework because it has some services that are dependent on it. So with that said, just in case it helps you guys. Another quick thing about these fans, on the website, it states that if you want to control more than 6 fans on Z790, you may need to have an additional LCD, the Lian Li controller. L3 controllers, not all the controllers are the same. So if you have a controller for like the SL fans, they're not going to work for these. You do need to keep in mind that highly depends on how many USB 2 ports you have on your motherboard. I have 2 on this Z790 Formula, and because I have nothing else connected to it, like an AIO or anything like that, I can control up to 16 fans. I believe that's the maximum per controller and have no issues. If you have an AIO that's using up that spot, then you're going to need to run an external cable to like the rear of your motherboard and then come to the L-Connect controller that way. They do have a 3-in-1 hub or something like that. Lian Li does offer that. But that's just to keep in mind. And also, if these fans also come with a daisy chain cable that allows you to daisy chain. I'll show you guys in a second. Let me grab one. So this adapter cable, if you guys can tell, it allows you to daisy chain one set of fans to another set of fans. The problem with this is if you're going to go this route, not a problem, but thing you need to note is that you're going to then need to use the SATA cable that is also provided. You will need to connect one end that then is connected to a SATA end that you have to connect to your PSU if you're going to daisy chain multiple links like that and not go straight to the controller. So keep that in mind. The controller also keeps in mind it requires the PCIe 6-pin connection. It's not a SATA connection like the prior ones. I don't have an extra controller, but I will show you guys on the back. So yeah, keep in mind you're going to need that spare graphics 6-pin PCIe to power the controller itself. But yeah, so there's the fans. Before we get to the back of the case, I'm just going to quickly go over the loop orientation here. So for many of you, you may not know there is something called a combo block. The combo block is a block that contains a reservoir, a pump, and the CPU block itself. This is the EK variant. Barrel makes one, Bisky makes one, but this is the EK one. Essentially, my loop order is very simple. The CPU goes out to the bottom radiator, comes up to the front distro. All right, guys, so I got it on a swivel plate. I'll probably make this easier. So like I was saying, it comes down to the bottom radiator and then it comes up to the top radiator, and then it comes back out to the GPU, and then out from the GPU down to the CPU return. And that is the loop order. This is a custom cut design distro by me. I designed it, I cut it myself. So I just wanted something super clean. And when you do your own custom distro, you can always make it as clean as you want or as crazy as you want. But that's that. So I'm gonna guys now show you guys the back of the case. So this is the back of the case. You'll notice that this bracket does come out. I don't remember if that's on the Evo. I think it was. But yeah, you can reverse this around to have the fans come in, radiator come out. It's kind of adjustable for the radiator setup. You can see that the back door is completely ventilated, so no worries about, you know, airflow there. This French door is new. You also notice that they expanded out these sides so you can have a longer power supply. Reason being is there's a reduced amount of space here for cable management compared to the older Dynamics. You still get the two 3.5s here, as you always had. And I want to show you guys, this looks super clean, right? But I spent no time on cable management. I didn't spend any time on cable management at all. You can see, look at this mess. Look at that mess. That is my mess. But look at this. Mess gone. You can't, I mean, they made it so easy to hide your crap that, you know, you don't, I mean, obviously there's a lot of good cable management, like this loop here and the, you know, the tie downs that come with it. I didn't use a single zip tie, look at that. And yeah, but this is the SATA thing I was talking about. This controller, well, this is one from the pump, but this SATA up here is for the case, the RGB strip on the top of the case and the bottom of the case. That's why there's this. But yeah, you see that I have a stock cable here. This is a PCIe. Where is it? It's somewhere in here. But yeah, oh, right here, right here. This is a PCIe power that's coming from the PSU to run that controller. So you will need a PCIe 6-pin to run the controller itself. So keep that in mind for your power supply and graphics card combination. But yeah, I mean, you guys can see this is, I mean, you can't get any easier to build something this clean. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's so hard to beat. I mean, this case has huge ass grommets. I mean, so let me flip it around. Oh yeah, you'll notice that there's a grommet at the bottom, right? Right here. That grommet is for if you have to run a cable out to the back of your computer. See, extremely well thought out. That pretty much wraps up my overview of this case, and you know, overview of my build here. It's really hard to. I mean, I got so bored by the Dynamic series because you see them everywhere and everybody buys them. But having worked on this build, it really highlights just how well of a product Lian Li has made this, you know, at this price point. I mean, I cannot think of a better case at this price point. I mean, you have the Phanteks series, the MV series is pretty nice. You have some of the NCXT cases. And honestly, guys, Corsair cases I don't buy because I was a huge fan of the original Obsidian 800D. And I was a fan of the 760T and all that. But I think in the last 6 years, a little more than 6, Corsair cases are just, they're just so trashy, man. I mean, they're high-end cases, a case that looks like a refrigerator. I mean, I don't even know, you know, it is what it is. But before, you know, I just want to turn all the lights off. I just want to show you guys what this thing looks like in the pure dark. And you can get a hold of the RGB. I mean, you really, it's... I mean, look how sick does that look. I mean, I have to up the brightness a little bit here. But look at that, guys. I mean, this is peak RGB, peak dynamic. There are controls on the case. You can change the lighting effects to different colors, chase, pattern, wave, all that stuff. But I'm a very static guy. But you notice I have the top and bottom strips on like kind of a breathing, chasing yellow-green to kind of match the build. But yeah, you just, I mean, this thing looks so nice at night. And when it's dark, it looks so good. It's really hard to beat, especially with the stats and everything on the fans. I mean, Lian Li has really nailed it down. I mean, about the fans, it's just three fans for $150 is a lot of money for 3 fans. But then they come with screens, and they come with covers over the screws, and they're well made, and the software is getting improved. So it's really hard to hate it. But I can also understand that for some folks, 3 for $150 for fans is just not something attainable. Not obtainable, but something that's reasonable for their budget. And 3 for $100 for non-RGB non-screen fans is also expensive. But at the same time, it's just so well made and thought out that it's also hard to hate on. I mean, I know there's a lot of cheaper RGB variant fans outside that are very well made from China. Most of the fans are from China, right? That are, 3 for like $40, that are also very well made and perform well. But the Lian Li ecosystem is really nailed down. I mean, if you look at Corsair, right, they just started daisy chaining their fans. And even before that, they were charging $50 a fan. I think they're still charging $50 a fan. It doesn't even have a screen on it. I mean, you might sound like I really don't like Corsair products, but I've bought a lot of Corsair products. And the amount of Corsair products I've had to RMA is astounding, which is why I personally no longer really like Corsair products. But yeah, I mean, this is just, it is what it is. But with that said, I'm going to be moving on to some Hyperions and some Singularity computers work. I do have a case I want to show you guys from them. It'll be in another video. But with that said, thanks for watching. Stay safe and take care.